Hello, everyone. Well, I wanted to thank Bharat and Khaki Labs firstly, for giving us this beautiful opportunity. What you guys are doing is just amazing. Um, I also wanted to thank all the participants, who took some time out of their schedule to attend this session today. Um, well, as Farooq mentioned, what we're going to talk about, what happened 12 years ago. Most of us know what happened in Mumbai in 2008, but I'm going to share, more in detail about the incident. Later, I'm also going to share with you, what we have been doing in Nariman Lighthouse. Uh, the data that I'm going to share today, please note that it's all backed with a lot of research and information and data that we have sourced from, books like Attack on Mumbai by Veer Sanghvi, Stories of Strength by Indian Express, the ex-police, NSG officials. There were a lot of interviews of the survivors and many more such, resources that we have collated this data from. So let's begin. Uh, I don't know if any of you have visited the Nariman Lighthouse Museum, but the building actually is a six-floor building, wherein the attack that took place was on the top three floors. So what we have done is that we have dedicated the sixth, fifth, and the fourth floor, for the museum and the memorial. What you see here on the slide is the top floor, the sixth floor. This is the exact place where the commandos, were airdropped by the helicopter, which is now beautifully converted into a memorial. What really wanted to highlight here is, you see the stone wall here. These have names engraved of all the people that were killed in Mumbai in those 3 days. So the media actually reported at that time there were 166 people, but when we collated, it took us some, I think, 3 to 4 months to, actually collate all the names and the correct names. We had to ensure because, it will go up on a wall. Uh, we got a total number of 176 names. There were few more, but their names were never identified. But so whenever, in future, when we open the museum again, you'll see that there are 176 names on that wall. On the fifth floor, the fifth floor was the house where of the rabbi, the Holzberg family used to stay in. And the fourth floor was a guest house for the Chabad House. Now, this is the exact place also where the terrorists stayed for one night that they were here. And, they held the hostages, the guests were held hostages. Also, when the commandos entered the building, this is again the same place on the fourth floor where the combat between the two terrorists and the commandos took place. I understand that all of us know Nariman House as Nariman House after the incident, but the actual name of this place is Chabad Lubavitch, which is actually a non-profit organization meant for the local Jewish community. It's mainly to address their religious, social, and humanitarian needs. There are around 5,000 such Chabad houses present across the world, and the main headquarters is in Brooklyn, New York. So the family the couple that was killed in this incident, Holzberg couple, their purpose was, to serve to the local Jewish community in India, and they had left their house in Israel, and they were here. They just dedicated their life to the welfare of the Jewish people here in India. Uh, I'm just showing you one shot of from the terrace area. You can see the Taj, both the Taj Hotel and the new hotel that's come up. Actually, from the terrace area, you can actually get a 360-degree view of the Kulaba, the town area. You'll also see the Badwar Park and the sea, and from the other side as well. Um, well, the map that you see here is basically highlighting all the locations that, where the attack took place, and the two locations where the two taxis blew up at that time. As we know, there were 10 terrorists that had entered Mumbai city from Pakistan via sea route. They entered the city from Badwar Park. And Badwar Park is actually a fisherman's colony. There were 8 of the terrorists that got off at that location, Badwar Park. And the other 2 took the same boat ahead towards Nariman Point, where they attacked the Oberoi Trident Hotel. Now, see, there are different versions to this. However, what I'm sharing with you is as per Kasab's confession statement. So the locations that you see here, CST, Leopold Cafe, Taj Hotel, Trident, and Chabad House. See, all the terrorists were actually, at these locations. And from Badwar Park, they basically took taxis to get to these locations. And they had split into twos. And one pair went to Chabad House on foot. In fact, they had timed the entire attack, between 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. The ones who were trying to get to the Nariman House, the Chabad House, they did not really could locate the place very well. So they were pretty late, and I think around 10:30 is when they could locate it and they entered the building. What I'm going to now play to you is a short 3-minute video that will summarize what happened that fateful night of 26/11.
ਕਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਉਹ ਮਾਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਕਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਦ ਨਾ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰਿਵਾ ਕੀਤਾ
Breaking news out of Mumbai, India. Deadly coordinated terror attacks across the city.
Never before has a city been attacked in a coordinated, random and completely mindless manner.
We are told there is a hostage situation taking place in there. We don't know how many hostages are being held at this point.
Hello? I want to see everything flying good. I don't know what to say.
तो एक मारा बंदा वहाँ पे 50 मारे बंदों के बराबर है उसको हम लोग रखते हैं आगे को सरजी ने बैक साइड से रखते हैं तुम्हारे साथ हमारे ऊपर हेली आ गया ऊपर हमारे ऊपर हेली आ गया हमारे कमरे में पानी हो गया हमारे कमरे में there's a child in there.
Moshe wandered among the bodies, including those of his mother and father, Rabbi Gabriel Holtzberg and his pregnant wife, Rivka. The little boy's nanny snatched him and escaped.
So I just picked the baby and I run. I don't think of fear. Does anybody think of dying at that moment when my small precious babies?
You don't have a mother now that's going to hug you and kiss you. We will not fight them with AK-47s. We will not fight them with grenades. We will not fight them with tanks. Such brutal darkness can only be fought by torches of goodness and kindness and light.
The Rebbe, whose teaching and vision guides Chabad Lubavitch of Mumbai, believed that every individual has the ability and responsibility to bring more light into the world and make it a brighter, better place. In 2014, the Chabad Center at Nariman House was renovated and formally reopened. In the near future, state-of-the-art living memorial will be completed, placing a spotlight on the lives of Rabbi Gabriel and Rivka Holtzberg and the ideals and values that catalyzed them to pursue lives benefiting humanity. If 10 terrorists get together causing so much darkness in this world. Just imagine if we all unite with good deeds, how much light we can create.
Every time I see this video, I get goosebumps. It's very difficult uh, for me also to be a Mumbaiker to see this again and again. It's terrifying. Anyway, moving ahead. Sorry. What I'm going to now do is, so the memorial that you see here, they are actually the names that you see on the wall. They are divided as per the location, and I'm going to go group, wise. So the first section that you see. One second. Yeah, this first section that you see here, the top 5 names are of Indian fishermen. They were the sailors of this boat, fishermen's boat called MV Kuber. The 10 terrorists, when they left Pakistan on the 21st of November, now on 23rd, they hijacked an Indian fishing trawler with these 5 crew members off the coast of Gujarat. They killed the 4 sailors, but kept the captain, Amar Singh Solanki, the first name that you see here. He was kept alive so that, he could navigate them to Mumbai. Now, when they arrived off Mumbai's harbor, they slit the captain's throat and continued on towards the land in a dinghy. 8, like I mentioned earlier, 8 of these terrorists got off near Padwar Park, and the remaining 2 took the same dinghy and they went towards Nariman Point. And these terrorists, they broke up into pairs and headed toward their respective locations in the different cabs. Okay, now, 1 second. This is one of the entry to the Badwar Park. From this, shore, like I mentioned, these terrorists, when they took the cabs, what they did is they put bombs under the seat, and these bombs were set off to go off after an hour later. Now, what they wanted to do here is, which we did not realize at that point of time because we were really confused, including the Mumbai police, as to, where the attack was contained and how many terrorists have really come to the city. Their intention was to confuse the Mumbai police. So 1 hour later, wherever these cabs, where the fare took them, they blew up. So one of the cab blew up at Mazgaon, some area in Mazgaon, and the other one in Vile Parle. Moving on, the second section that you see here that I've marked here in red, these are the victims of the CST station. Now, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, formerly known as Victoria Terminus, we know that it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has a daily footfall of nearly 35 lakh passengers. The 2 terrorists assigned to the CST station were Kasab and Ismail, who entered the railway station with guns blazing and started killing at random all in sight. From passengers to hawkers, young and old, without distinguishing between, whatever caste, creed, religion, they just killed people randomly. The names that you see here are, in total, there are around 58 people that were killed, and over 100 were injured. If you look at the names of the people from all communities, these terrorists here weren't looking to target any particular faith. It was just to take maximum human lives and to create that sort of a fear. That was their intention. But, we as a city, people in the city are very brave. That's the spirit of Mumbai. And I would like to share one story of, a very brave individual, Mr. Vishnu Zende. He was a railway announcer at that time, making announcements. His job was to announce arrivals and departures, time of the train. His cabin was a little elevated, so he could, see the station from above. And he saw these people enter and, indiscriminately firing. But so he continued announcing. He did not run away. Okay. He continued to announce to all the panicked passengers as to which exit that they could take. And he also informed the passengers of the newly arrived train to stay inside, And to be honest, this is way beyond his responsibilities, and someone who is not trained or part of the police, but he still stayed back and helped. The terrorists actually understood, that there were announcements being made, and they opened fired, towards the announcer platform. What Vishnu did is he ducked under the table, and he continued making the announcements. So finally, in frustration, both the terrorists left the CST station. Actually, the original plan was to take hostage, but they could not, unfortunately, and they had to leave the station. Here are some of the visuals of the station. Of course, a photographer captured Kasab. What you see here, I think, is the bullet mark of the railway announcer's window glass. Fortunately, he wasn't hurt. The next group that you see here is from the Leopold Cafe. So the two terrorists, Hasif Arshad and Nasir, who got off at the famous restaurant called Leopold Cafe in Colaba. Now, from the information that we gathered, these two started shooting while entering the restaurant at about 9:30 p.m. And around 13 people were killed. Numerous others were injured inside the restaurant as well as outside the restaurant. The top two names that you see here, Jürgen and Daphne, it was actually their last stay in the city. They were just here to have their dinner and leave for Germany. But unfortunately, they were killed. Gaurav Chen and Malesh Banerjee were, they were friends, and they were here to discuss Malaysia's marriage preparation. They were, Kazi and Peru, they were both the waiters at the cafe. There was also a tailor who was killed, who's just, was outside the cafe. And what these terrorists did is, after they finished, firing at the restaurant, they moved on to Taj. So if you are from Mumbai, you'd know that there's a street that takes you from the Leopold Cafe to the Taj Hotel. So these two terrorists joined the other two in the Taj, and they were so well trained that they knew the streets of Mumbai very well. I'm sure you may have heard of David Headley. He was the one who had visited the city prior, and he'd done his study and given all the details to LET, and that's how they had all these information. Some of the visuals of the Leopold Cafe, you can see the bullet marks on the window, on the wall. The place was shut for some time, and they have not really painted or covered these bullet marks. You can still, whenever you visit Leopold Cafe, you'll be able to see it. Moving ahead, now these two groups, okay, are so when the terrorists, when they had to head out of CSE station, now there's a bridge that they took that, and then from there the street that they took that's when they came across a hospital called Cama Hospital. It's a women and children's care hospital. Now they attacked it as, since they were not able to get any, hostage at CST, they thought that maybe let's attack, this hospital, and maybe they will be able to get some hostages here. Though this hospital was not in their list. So from the back entrance of the hospital, they killed these two guards, Baban Ugade and Bhanudev Narkar. Well, upon hearing the gunshots, the hospital staff immediately sprang into action by barricading themselves inside and switching off the main power supply. Also, the names that you see here on the top are they're very popular names, of the ex-policemen. I'm going to share about them also in my slides later. But about the hospital, since we are here on the hospital topic, I want to share about this nurse. A brave story about what she did. So, of course, when she saw the lifeless bodies of these guards at the entrance, she was completely rattled, and her name is Anjali Kulte. She quickly ran and slammed the heavy double doors of the antenatal care ward. Now, Ismail, one of the terrorists, he fired 2 bullets in her direction from the window. It didn't hit her though, but it grazed through, one of the aya's hand, due to which, she started bleeding profusely. But Anjali knew that, her every move had to be calculated, and if she wanted to save the woman and their unborn children, she had to stay alive too. So that night, the brave nurse, she risked her life, not just once, but several times. I'm going to share 2 instances. So what happened is, these terrorists, they went upstairs, towards the terrace area. And that's when quickly, Anjali, she alerted the doctor on duty, who dialed the police to seek help. She then rushed the Aya to the casualty ward to tend to her wounds. And another challenge, at the same time, one of the patients in the ward came into labor. I don't know how she managed it. And, if you would have been delayed, you would have lost, they would have cost 2 lives. So Anjali decided to risk her own to help them. While these 2 men were, they continued to wage terror on the terrace, little did they know that, there were these few dedicated staff members who, despite being uncertain of their own survival, were bringing new lives into the world in a quiet delivery room on the 2nd floor. Well, since it was nighttime, they switched off the lights of the hospital. There was no electricity. They had no idea of the layout of the hospital. The terrorists were forced to leave this place. While the terrorists were on their way, out of the hospital, they saw the police car. Now, this is the police car that contained our brave officers. Shri Hemant Karkare, who was the IPS and ATS Joint Commissioner of Police. Shri Ashok Kamte, he was the Additional Commissioner of Police. Shri Vijay Salaskar, Inspector and Renowned Encounter Specialist. Balasaheb Bhosle, the Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police. There were 3 constables also along with them, Jayavant Patil, Yogesh Patil, and Arun Jadhav. Now, the terrorists who were on foot near the hospital recognized the police car, and they hid themselves and ambushed the police. Now, during this attack that went on for about 50 minutes, all the police in the car died, except the constable Arun Jadhav. Now, he was badly injured, but fortunately survived, as he was on the back seat and in the middle. So the dead bodies of the other policemen actually collapsed on top of him. Now, these 2 terrorists, they thought that they had killed all the police in the car and did not check it thoroughly. That's when they took the vehicle and headed towards another location. Now, while around Mantralaya area is where this police car broke down. And that's when they got off, these terrorists got off, and they hijacked another civilian car, a Skoda car, in which there were 3 men. Now, luckily for these men, the terrorists did not kill them, but took their car and moved towards Girgaon Chapati. Once the terrorists abandoned the police car, you remember Arun Jadhav, who was injured, but he was still alive. He immediately radioed in the location of the terrorists to the police headquarters. And that's how the police were able to barricade at the Girgaon Chapati. Now, when the terrorists were, on their way towards Girgaon Chapati, they reached that area in the Skoda. Now they could see the barricade and they stopped the car. They tried to, obviously turn around, but unfortunately their car hit the divider. And what ensued was a gunfight between the police and the terrorist, in which the Ismail was driving the car and Kasab was sitting next to him. So Ismail was killed and Kasab pretended to be dead. Now, when the police came close to inspect, the scene, if they were alive or dead, Kasab got up and was going to shoot them. And that's when Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police Tukaram Oble jumped on him and tried pinning him down, but was shot in the bargain. Now, and due to his heroic act, for the first time in history globally, we have been able to capture a terrorist alive. So that's the visuals that you see on screen are from the Chowpatty area. And that's our brave Tukaram Oble here. Moving ahead, this is the fifth section that you see here actually is of the Trident Hotel, which we know as Oberoi Hotel now. The two terrorists that got off, at Marine Drive, Abdul Rahman and Fahadullah, they moved on foot into the hotel. They entered the Trident Hotel from the main gate and moved in from the restaurant named Tiffin, just randomly killing all the diners. And from there, they went upstairs and they were holed up on the 16th and the 18th floor with the hostages. What you see here is a total number of 36 people, including the guests and staff that were killed, and nearly 100 were injured. Some of the stories that I would like to share from this hotel. So there was a father and a daughter named Alan and Naomi Sher. They were here in Mumbai. They were here on a spiritual retreat. Well, after their death, Alan's wife Kia Sher, she had sent a letter to Kasab, to forgiving him for their crimes, and also she stated, she actually started an organization a few years later called One Life Alliance, which is a global peace initiative. What you see on the left, there was another couple called Sunil and Reshma Parekh, husband and wife. They were killed in this attack. After which Sunil's mother, that's her, Sarla Parekh, she pressed the government, and there was a petition that she had filed for the public litigation, and she got all the CCTV cameras that were installed across Mumbai for the safety and the security of the people. So all the CCTVs that you see in the city is thanks to her. The next list that you see here, the next set of people that you see here, the names that you see here is from the Taj Hotel. I think we'll never forget the visuals of the burning Taj. There were two terrorists, like I mentioned, that came to Taj were Javed and Shoaib, and the two from the restaurant Leopold's Cafe, Hafiz and Nasir, also joined them. So there were 4 in total inside of the Taj Hotel. Now these terrorists were holed up in this hotel for the longest time, as there were 4 of them, and the hotel, as we know, is very large. The first name that you see here, Rahul Subhash Shinde, he was the SRPF constable who was killed outside the hotel, protecting the bystanders and media professionals, media persons, and he was also duly awarded, a medal. So like I said, the Taj visual that we all remember. We also remember Major Sandeep Krishnan. Here he was one of the NSG commandos stationed at Taj. He was also rescuing all the guests from Taj. He lost his life while rescuing these guests and staff of Taj Hotel. What you see, the photograph that you see below here is of the general manager of Taj, Mr. Karambir Kang. Now he lost his entire family in Taj. Niti Kang, Samar Kang, and Uday Kang. They were trapped in their room near the dome, which caught fire, and the smoke started entering into the room, which suffocated them. Well, even though Mr. Kang realized that his family died, he did not break down into mourning, on the spot, but continued with the evacuation process till the entire ordeal was over. I'd like to also share another brave story from the hotel of this young lady, Malika Jagat. She was 24 at that point of time. So she was supervising, she was supervisor at a banquet hall. There was a conference going on. It was, I think, a Unilever conference with about 70 people, and she was in charge of that conference that was taking place. And when the attack began, when they heard of the commotion, she took a stand, in spite of being the youngest at that time. She instructed everyone to stay in the room and be quiet. They barricaded the doors with, tables and chairs, whatever were there in that banquet hall. When the next day, the rescue team were able to, when they were able to evacuate them by the, windows that you see here in the visual here, she ensured firstly that all the guests first, then the staff were safely evacuated before she herself left. This small group that you see here is from the 3 cabs, that the terrorists took to reach their respective destination. Out of those 3, actually 2 cabs blew up at Ville Parle and at Moscow. Along with the driver, of course, Mohammad Omar and Fulchand Benda were the drivers. A very tragic story of Lakshmi Narayan Goyal. Now he was a lawyer who was returning to Hyderabad, and so when that's when his sister called him. He was headed towards CST station, and his sister called him and told him that there was an attack that was taking place at the station, and that he should return home, but not by a train, take a cab. And unfortunately, he got into the same cab that had bomb in it. Sorry. These are the visuals of the taxi at Ville Parle and the Moscow. These were the visuals that were taken by by the media personals. And the group that you see here, there are 2 groups here actually. The names that you see here are of the people that were randomly killed on the street around Nariman House. Okay, when the terrorists entered the building of Nariman House, they just firstly randomly fired inside, on the ground floor, and as and when they were climbing up floors. They killed the rabbi, his wife, and 2 other guests on the 2nd floor. And from the 2nd floor, there's a window. They randomly were also shooting on the street, outside Nariman House. We'll show you the visual here. So you see, this is the window area here. And whenever you get a chance to visit Nariman House, you will see bang opposite Nariman House as a yellow wall, and you will see these, bullet holes right, on that wall. A lot of them. I've just taken a small picture here. Well, you also see in this photograph, how these houses and buildings are very, very close to each other. So while the combat between, between the terrorists and the commandos was going on, or these terrorists were holed up in the building for one night. They also shot, people randomly into these buildings, and that's when some of them, the names that you see here, were also killed, like Salim and Mehenbi. They were also killed. They were in a building just next to Nariman House, behind Nariman House, and they were just shot. So it was just very random, very, very random. Yeah. Of course, we remember the visuals of the 2-year-old baby who was rescued by his nanny, And when the nanny visited, Nariman House later, she narrated the story to us. She told us what exactly happened. So Sandra, the nanny, and the cook, Zakir Hussain, they were in the kitchen on the first floor of the building, and that's when they heard the commotion, the firing, and they immediately, what they did is they hid themselves on the first floor store. There's a storage room in the kitchen area, so they hid themselves there. Now, when the terrorists entered at around 10 p.m. that night, and began firing, Moshe was sleeping in his crib on the fifth floor. The fifth floor is the house of the Holzberg family. And like I said, Sandra and Zakir were hiding on the first floor. Now, like I said, on second floor, the rabbi, his wife, and two other guests were immediately killed. And when they went on the fourth floor, where there was a guest house, they did not kill the people immediately, but they kept them as hostage because they wanted to, negotiate certain terms with the government. Now, what she also said is that, the next day, when it was a little quiet in the morning, they tried to escape the building. And when they were, just leaving, is when they heard Moshe cry from the floor above on the second floor. When you are in a circumstance like this, you would first want to escape. You want to save your own life. But these two brave people, they went up to check, found baby lying near the bodies of his parents. They grabbed him and escaped from the building. We consider it firstly to be a miracle that, a 2-year-old baby made on his own from the fifth floor to the second floor, and fortunately was, rescued by these two brave, nanny and the cook. What you see here is actually the fifth floor, like I was talking about. It's in a bad shape right now, but some of the things that we have retained. This was the house of the Holzberg family where they lived. Here you see is the remains of the baby's room. What you see on the wall is, baby Moshe's mother's love for him. She's painted the wall with alphabets and birds and, numbers in Hebrew. What you see on the left hand side is, at that time he was just 13 months. He was about to turn 2, as per the Hebrew calendar, the Jewish calendar. And so she had measured his height at that point of time. So when they visited in 2018, the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and this is baby Moshe, who's 14 now. But at that time, when he was 12, he measured his height again. And that's a picture that you can see here. What he wrote there, he's written something in Hebrew, saying that the spirit of the people of Israel still lives on. Just to let you know, we are in the midst of raising funds to, retain these works and build a typical house showcasing the Jewish culture, the lifestyle, retaining the painting and the height chart in this room. When you move towards the fourth floor, as I mentioned, which was the guest house at that point of time, it's in a even bad shape. What you can see right now is, the bullet holes. There was a grenade. There were a lot of grenades that were used, and the impact of the grenade that you see on the wall, and the shrapnel that, have been retained. There were the terrorists that I was talking about who were there in this building. They were hiding in this room, and they had held hostages in the same room. The handlers from Pakistan, they gave instructions to terrorists. They were in constant touch with terrorists, and they were giving them, instructions like, to make some demands from the Indian authorities, like stop the tear gas shelling, stop all the action against the terrorists, release the captured terrorists. Now, how they were able to do all this is because, unfortunately, at that time, the media was covering it live, and they were getting all the information, and they were able to make these demands. Terrorists also forced these hostages to contact the Israeli embassy and make their demands. after which the terrorist, handler spoke to the hostage, asking them if they can contact the consulate, Israeli consulate. When they confirmed, they also spoke, informed the handlers what was going on, and handlers then informed the hostages that don't worry, you will be able to go home and you will be able to celebrate Shabbat with your family. This is what exactly what I'm sharing here is actually all the recordings that's available actually even for you to listen to. It's all facts what I'm sharing here. Also, what I'm going to share in the next slide is a short video. Actually, these are the recordings of when there was a negotiation that took place between the terrorist and the rabbi in America. And because they could not understand the language, they had to get Professor P.V. Vishwanathan, who was fluent in Urdu and in Hindi. So he served as an interpreter. So it was actually a 5 hours conversation, and some 3-4 times is what they actually spoke. But I'm going to share a quick clipping of 2 conversations between these two and between the terrorist and the handler.
Hello? Hello? Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Hello? Go ahead and tell him that we have progress. जी. आप जो चाह रहे थे वो कर रहे हैं यहाँ. ठीक है, करें, करना पड़ेगा. Well, he says, well, go ahead and make progress. That's what you got to do. Tell him that we contacted through the ambassador here to the government in New Delhi, and they need to have 2 more hours. They will arrange someone to call him. So tell him that as long as we do not hear reports on the news of any harm, we can continue the discussion. लेवी साहब को बताओ कि 2 घंटा टाइम बहुत ज्यादा है. Well, he said that 2 hours is too much. गोली वगैरह कुछ नहीं लगी है ना आपको? जी. आपको आप तंदुरुस्त है ना, यानी आपको कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुंचा है ना, यानी आप ठीक है ना? अल्लाह का शुक्र है, हम लोग ठीक है. सीना मीना गोलियां चला रहा है, लेकिन हम देख रहा है अभी उसको थोड़ा बर्दाश्त कर रहा है. अगर बात बनता है लेवी साहब को बोलो तो ठीक है, वरना हम फिर सीना को भी भून देगा और उनको भी भून देगा. Okay, but just tell him that we're working very hard and we want to try to be helpful in the situation, and we will call him back. As long as no one is harmed, it will be okay. And if he हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम. वालेकुम सलाम. क्या हाल है भाईजान? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. क्या हाल है? दोबारा राब्ता हुआ कोई? हाँ, अभी जस्ट 1 सेकंड पहले बंद हुआ है. तो लेवी साहब को मुतमईन किया है हमने ना. अच्छा. हाँ अभी वो इस बात से तो टल गया है कि मेरा बात चाल ना करो, वो कहता है बस किसी का नुकसान ना हो, तो हम भी सब्र कर रहे हैं, आप भी सब्र करें, किसी को कुछ ना करें। मैंने उनको बोला कि मैंने थप्पड़ भी नहीं मारा इनको भी। नहीं आपसे कह रहा था कि आप तो क्या सब्र कर रहे हैं, ऊपर फायर आ रहा है, क्या सब्र कर रहे हैं। अगर हमें पता चलेगा, मैं काफी देर से आपको कॉल कर रहा था, आपका नंबर बिजी था, तो आपको ना जैसे ही आप उनको मैसेज करें ना कि आर्मी वाले दबाव डाल रहे हैं, सबसे पहले काम ये आपने करना है कि अपने ये कमाली इनसे फारिग होना।
Little terrible ones, but these are the visuals of the Nariman House, which you see here on the top is, how the commandos were airdropped on the terrace of the building. And this is the terrace area from, we are very close to each other, another building and our building. And some of the visuals that you see below, I'm sorry I'm sharing these visuals, but you should know it's very important. These are the visuals that were immediately taken off the fourth floor and the second floor after the attack. And so the commandos that was stationed at Nariman House, it was led by Havaldar Gajendra Singh Bisht. Out of the 7 people that we spoke about that lost their lives in Nariman House, it was him as well. He was leading the entire operation, and when they started the combat between the terrorist and the commandos, he was the first one to take the bullet. So Havaldar Gajendra Singh Bisht. I'm sure all this while I was talking about Nariman Lighthouse, you must be wondering, why am I calling it Nariman Lighthouse and not Nariman House? So I would like to now share exactly what is the intent, what are we here. We spoke about what took place in those 3 days, but what are we doing here? What is the intention of Nariman Lighthouse, and what is the vision that we're talking about here? Firstly, the intent is to let people, who visit the place and should know about the attack. It's very important. It's really important to know about our history, and this is the only place where you can. Also, imagine, at least we saw it. We saw it on TV. Some of us were maybe in the area. We witnessed it. But what about the next generation? What about them? I mean, they had no idea what happened or what took place at that time. Another thing is that all those who visit, and you today, who's attending this talk with me, I'm sure you feel a lot of anger. I'm sure you feel sadness when you saw these videos, when you heard the stories, as to what happened here. And also, we know that what continues to happen across the globe even today. We just feel helpless. We don't know what we can do. But when I came, I met Rabbi Israel. When I understood his vision, he always says this, that the whole attack, it shows you 2 sides of human nature, very very extreme sides. One side you have the terrorists and the handlers and everything bad, that happened, that they did it that time. And on the other side, you have people, like the NSG commandos, the railway announcer, the employees of the hotel, the nanny, and the cook who saved the child. People who did so much good without any personal interest. So, you and I, every person, we have the capacity to be both. It's up to you and me which side we want to act on. So while you are here, after hearing about what happened in the attack, use whatever emotion that you feel, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, to choose the right side and actually do something about it. Because even just being indifferent, just that sort of an apathy, which most people have, is not enough. You have to take some concrete and some tangible steps, towards the right side. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be something big that's going to change a lot of people's life or anything like that. It just in your everyday life, maybe something small, something but something tangible. That's enough. Because, at the end, you remember in the video, Rabbi Israel said that just 10 people could shut a city like Mumbai down. Imagine if all of us, with the smallest thing that we do collectively, what a difference that could make. And, this is his vision, is that everyone who leaves the museum or when you leave the talk today, you leave motivated to do something better. He said to me once that we are here not to talk only about the painful past, but we are here to speak about the future, which is bright and full of hope and action. So that's what we are trying to do here in Nariman Lighthouse. A little light repels much darkness. Is the message that we want to convey, and it's very difficult to just say it like that, unless you do not experience the entire journey that I just took you through right now. You may not be able to, we may not be able to understand it. It may sound a little preachy, but maybe we'll be able to understand. So we just happy to share that we opened our doors to public last year on the 11th anniversary, and we saw a lot of visitors that day and following that day. Just a few visuals, of people who've been coming and visiting the museum, the memorial, sharing their feedback, their views, whatever they felt, or post-its that you see here online on Google and everything. It's been a beautiful experience. Unfortunately, we are all in a COVID situation, and all of us are stuck at home or have a limited access to step out and do something about it. We had to even close the Nariman House for the time being, and I'm sure when the government allows us to open, we will open again. We will announce. You can follow us on social media. You'll be able to know that we are open, and you must really, I insist that you must visit the Nariman Lighthouse. So I'm gonna conclude this talk with a video again, and also I want to thank all of you again for your time out to attend this session today. So I'm gonna head to the video now.
The question we need to ask ourselves is what's next? Tomorrow, it's going to be 27 November 2019, and we're going to get up, please God, in the morning, and the question is, what's now? Where is 26/11 of 2008 in tomorrow's? And what do we do as individuals, as society, as a country, as people, as God creatures, to remember those who lost their life and to prevent such things to happen again?
We get up with our city, taller and stronger each time.
Even though bad things happen, we'll come together. And whenever I see a survivor or whenever I see someone, I see a ray of hope. एक उम्मीद की किरण दिखती है मुझे.
एक गोली ने पूरी लाइफ चेंज कर दी मेरी. पर गोली लगने के पहले मैंने उस आतंकवादी को देख लिया था जिसने मुझे गोली मारी. मेरे आंखों के सामने कई लोगों को मार दिया गया. सब सेल्फ डिफेंस की तरफ सीखना चाहिए. सब पूरा मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग अपना स्टूडेंट करने चाहिए. तभी उस दिन सामने हमला करने को कोई नहीं था. बारा मामले जो इतना हिम्मत वाला आदमी कार का अंदर उनको पकड़ा, उसका बंदूक लगाने के बाद भी वो उनको छोड़ा नहीं.
So even after 11 years, that scene hasn't, sorry, I get emotional whenever I talk about it. It hasn't left my eyes. This museum was allowing people to come and pay homage. I thought that, at least I have so many friends whose names are up there on the wall. They gave their life up in vain because it wasn't their fault. It wasn't the fault of any one of those men up there.
मौसी का रोने का आवाज सुना सेकंड फ्लोर में, तो उधर गया तो देखा, मैं भी और सेंटर भी गए थे ऊपर. देखा मौसी उसका माँ का बाजू में बैठ के रो रहा है. माँ डेड है, इधर पिताजी डेड है उसका. तो उससे मौसी ने वो सेंटर ने उसको लिया और अपन दोनों एक साथ निकल के मेन रोड पे गए. वो भयानक दिन था उस दिन. याद आता, आज मैं आ रहा था इधर तो उस दिन का याद आ रहा था मेरे को ऐसा.
I was in Pakistan put it this way, it wasn't shown live in Pakistan. It was, so I heard about it just through work, and of course people started telling each other, but we were in the dark in Pakistan about this for a while.
That's why it was important to come and see this testament to faith and to hope that is taking shape in the monument that's coming together here. It's a beautiful space.
ये आतंकवाद से हमें डरना नहीं चाहिए, हम आतंकवाद को डराना चाहिए, हमें एक ये हिम्मत बननी चाहिए.
But just think of a Jewish center, a Jewish child, 2 years old, being saved by a Christian nanny and a Muslim kitchen worker. This is the true answer to how to defeat darkness.
Thank you.
Yes. So, what a lovely message about making a choice to dispel the darkness. So Leorith, tell us about your involvement with all this. How did you get involved? How did you start after moving to the Chabad Trust? How did you go about this massive task of putting all this together?
It's a very lovely story, actually. I know somebody from Israel. His name is Leopold Cafe. I had worked with him in the past, and he was the one who recommended me to Rabbi Israel and told him that they were looking to actually like I mentioned, they were looking to raise funds to rebuild the 2 floors, the museum on the 2 floors, and they were looking to some support, and I come from a marketing background. So they said, why don't you, come and meet him and see what you could do? And, that's how I met them. And you will not believe this. The first day when he also gave me a tour of the building, of the place. And when he shared his vision with me, I was in tears. And I was the one who said that I'm not going to be here only to help you with the marketing work. I'm going to help you. I'm going to work on this entire thing together. And we will build this together till we are able to, maybe raise funds. That's the objective, to, be able to build the museum. Once that is done, then I'm sure things will move smoothly. So that's how I've been associated.
And you stayed on?
Yes, I will continue.
I mean, there's no denying the fact that this incident has left an indelible mark on the city. But if you look at all the disasters, tragedies which have struck Bombay in the last few decades, the train blasts of 2006 took away more people. Why do you think that did not get as much international attention as this incident did? Any thoughts on that? Any views on that?
That is even my question. I know we discuss this when people come. We actually talk about all this. Why don't we talk about, there is so much more that has happened in the city, and we don't talk about it. We don't. I don't think the new kids, the new generation is aware of what happened at that time. So yeah, that's even my question. Is whoever has asked this question, it is important that we talk about it. We talk about our history, because it's very important. We learn from
that. I think there are no further questions, and I think the reason for that is that people are too churned up emotionally by all these visuals and the videos, and of course the lovely message at the end from Rabbi.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending, and thank you, Leorith. It's been a real pleasure.